Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm sharing a Tudor home that I furnished as more of a party house because I really wanted to make this cute Tudor home in the older, more historic area of Windenburg, but I didn't want to furnish it as a family home because the last two builds I made have been family homes, so I didn't really feel like doing the whole parents' bedroom and cute kids' bedrooms and perfect living room and formal living area thing again. I just kind of wanted to get away from that way of furnishing for this build. And as I'm sure those of you who have been paying attention to the Sims community on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and whatever other social media platform know, there have been some leaks recently that the next expansion pack is going to be a university expansion pack. And obviously nothing's 100% sure because there hasn't been a formal announcement, but it seems very likely that that's going to be what the next pack is, especially given what happened back in June or May with the Island Living leaks. So because of that, I just got inspiration to furnish this for what I was thinking of as university students who are living off campus. I could see there being some historical university nearby Windenburg, so they're just living here to maybe save some money, be a little bit more independent. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to furnish it for those university students who maybe don't take the best care of this nice house. I was kind of thinking maybe the scenario was someone was wanting to rent this house out. Whoever the landlord is was wanting to rent this house out to a nice family, but due to there being a college nearby, they're having some trouble finding a family to rent it, so they had to give in and rent it out to university students if they wanted any hope of being able to get the house rented and make money. And then perhaps much to the confirmation of their fears, they're not really taking care of the house 100% as well as possible. So I wasn't trying to make the house look like a complete wreck, but I was trying to show an effect that maybe the house wasn't being perfectly well maintained as I was building it. So it's just stuff like trying to make it look like the nice garden has weeds popping up on it and some of the grass in the backyard is dead and there's just a bunch of stuff piled back there. So it was a lot of fun to make this build and make something that I would typically furnish really nicely and just kind of go in a different direction with it. So as you can see, this house is fairly small. It's definitely a more cozy Tudor home, and it does have 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. So there is a good bit of space there, and I was trying to make it look like each of these students had different interests. If university is actually the next expansion pack, I am pretty excited for it. I think it is pretty close to being 100% likely that it is going to be university because one of the leaks was on the Xbox store and there was a pretty real looking render that went with it. There was also a leaked description that seemed pretty legit as well because it wasn't a similar format to descriptions for other packs. And there was some stuff on that description that definitely piqued my interest and would be pretty cool if it was true. It looks like you can pick from 2 different universities, which, if that actually is the case, is not something I was expecting from a university pack for The Sims 4, especially given the trend with neighborhood sizes recently, because as packs have gone on, the sizes of the neighborhood have gotten smaller, so 2 different colleges was not something I was expecting at all, but who knows, that may not actually be the case, and I don't want to get my hopes up on that too much because it could be a situation where it's not 2 separate neighborhoods, and it's maybe one world with 2 different parts to it, or it's different neighborhoods within a world rather than being 2 separate maps or worlds that you load into. But if it was actually 2 separate worlds, that would be really cool because it would be awesome to be able to choose from 2 different universities, and it would add a lot more variety to the expansion pack. And I think I did see something about school rivalries, so that would be really awesome if true. And it did say that there was a few new careers, and one of them it said was engineering, which definitely piques my interest, and hopefully that is true because it would be cool to be able to have my Sims go through the struggle of engineering school and to compare that to my own experience. So if I do a Sims 4 University Let's Play, I definitely would have one of the Sims in it pursue an engineering degree. So that's something I am looking forward to if it is true, because I think I said in the past, but if I am doing a university Let's Play, then I wanted to revisit the Fox family because, in case you don't know, I did use them, different generations of the same family for my Get to Work Through Cats and Dogs Let's Plays. So it would be cool to revisit them and use Jonah, one of the Sims from that family, in that, because it'd be kind of cool to send him to college with his friends and have them do different degrees and maybe live in the same dorm together. So I am really looking forward to being able to do that. So we'll just have to see what announcements come up, because maybe it'll be announced this week. Hopefully, because I feel like we're due for an announcement of some sort soon, because the past several years they have had expansion packs come out in November, so I feel like that's probably what it's going to be like this year, looking at the trends. But anyway, at this point, I am working on the backyard now, so I'm just trying to continue the same landscape we had in the front around here, and I don't think I've done it at this point, but as I mentioned earlier, at one point I did go through and I took some of the grass and just stuck it through the gardens to make it look like they haven't really been dealing with maintaining the gardens properly, and like weeds have popped up and stuff. Like I could see it being a situation where the landlord was really wanting them to maintain the gardens and keep everything nice, but they're just kind of like, we're busy with studying or whatever. Like, I don't want to deal with pulling weeds in the gardens of this house that isn't mine, so they just don't bother with it. I could also imagine the landlord and the tenants getting into arguments over who is really responsible for all the landscaping, because sometimes leases only cover the basics like mowing the lawn and raking and some weeding, and don't really get into stuff like mulching and replacing plants that have died and just kind of getting into like the more detailed care of the plants that are on the property. And then I also was trying to make it look like the grass in the backyard was a little patchy, because they maybe haven't been perfectly taking care of that either. And I also stuck this big old fire pit here, which I was thinking was kind of contributing to the area in the back here looking a little shabby. Oh yeah, at this point you can see all of the grass that I did stick throughout the garden. And then I also stuck a tire in the front of the house. I don't know why, but I thought that kind of worked being there for some reason, even though they don't have cars and you don't have cars in this game, but whatever. I thought that was kind of a cool touch. But apart from the fire pit area, we just have a bar back here. It was one of those fold up ones. And then I also stuck the bubble blower back here. I thought that'd be kind of fun to have on the porch area. And I also stuck one of the water balloon baskets back here, and then a kiddie pool for some reason. I don't know. That just kind of felt like something random that would be back here. So I thought that was kind of fun to throw in. And then we also have this picnic table from City Living. I thought that one would be kind of fun and artsy to add in, because one of the rooms I was furnishing for someone I imagined to be an art student. And oh yeah, there was the random kiddie pool. I don't know, I just thought the tropical one there was kind of fun. I don't know, maybe they just decided they wanted to have that there to just cool off in when the weather's a little hot sometimes. I just thought it kind of worked for the situation. I really wanted this backyard to have a fun party kind of a feel to it. And here I'm just adding in another little plant area, because I feel like we need a little something behind the picnic table here. So just throwing all of that in pretty quick. And there's not really that much more to the outside of this house. It's just kind of finishing up the area, just kind of the deck area up there. And oh yeah, I was going through the debug menu and trying to find some things to put on the bar to decorate it. So I did find those cups that they said they're from City Living, so I guess they must have been from one of the festivals, but I thought those were really cool looking, so I just stuck them on the top of the bar there. And then some bottles that looked kind of like drink bottles. I thought those were definitely very fitting. And then here just had a mixture of different chairs at the bubble blower. I thought that was kind of fun, like they maybe got, I know this isn't Santa Myshuno, but I like the idea that they got those from the flea market, like some sort of flea market, and they just kind of like had all these different chairs that they put together just to have a complete set around that bubble blower. But apart from that, we just have that fold up couch over there, and then a punching bag. I just wanted to have some kind of exercise equipment, and I thought a random punching bag on the deck there worked pretty well. But that is it for the outside of the house. So we're moving on to the interior, which, as I mentioned, I didn't make look like a complete wreck, but I was trying to make it look a little bit messy and a little shabby, and like it had mixed furniture pulled from different sources. Like each of the people in the house had different things that they brought. Like maybe one person brought the couch, another person brought the chair, another person brought the coffee table, and they just kind of threw all of it together, or they got different pieces from their thrift stores. I do always find that to be a really fun style to furnish in. Like, I just like taking things from different sets and trying to piece them together in a way that looks mismatched, but at the same time just works together well, and just, I don't know, it just kind of looks very nice together in a way. Like, that is just so much fun to me. But I did add, I didn't make it look like the walls were super damaged or anything like that, but I think in one or two spots, I did take one of those wall decals from Vampires and make it look like it was a spot where maybe the wall got punched during a party or something like that, because this is, of course, called the party house. So I definitely imagine it being somewhere where, they are throwing a bunch of parties in here, and, sometimes accidents happen. And here I just wanted to have a bunch of clutter on the coffee table. We just got a plate there, like they were eating and just kind of stuck it there and didn't clean it up yet. And I also stuck that book item, like perhaps it's some homework someone was doing in the living room while watching TV and they just left it sitting there. And I just threw some other stuff into this room, like the typical entryway decorations, and I also put a keyboard over on the other wall. But I am really excited to see, like, if it is indeed a university expansion pack, I am really excited to see what kind of furniture we get, because I definitely want some more cheap, shabby furniture. Like, I remember in The Sims 3 University, we got milk crate furniture, so it would be kind of cool to see something like that, or just stuff that looks like it's kind of gross and was pulled out of a dumpster, or like a cheap futon kind of thing, like one of those cheap futons that I feel is so typical in college homes. I feel like a university pack has got to come with something like that. But currently I am furnishing the dining room, and I didn't really furnish it as a typical formal dining room. I thought about doing that and, doing the whole thing where you have the long dining table with like 8 chairs around it, but that seemed kind of pointless for this house. Like, I just did not see 3 college students as needing a formal dining room. So something I thought worked better for it was furnishing it as the indoor party area, because this is built in Winterberg. So I feel like I had to put the DJ booth in this house somewhere, and I thought using the dining room for that would make sense. Like they just have that set up in here, and then they have some cardboard down on the floor to work as a dance floor, but then they still do have a dining table in there because they need somewhere to sit and eat. So they just got a little one with 3 chairs around it that's just kind of shoved into the wall to be out of the way. And I did also stick a laptop there, like it's where they're sitting to do their schoolwork. And there was also the room where I did stick that wall decal, because I was kind of imagining that someone was dancing and maybe they, I don't know, were a little loose or something and accidentally fell into the wall, or something happened and the wall ended up getting punched and the wallpaper got ripped out or something like that, and they're kind of trying to half cover up with a poster. I just like the idea of that. But currently we're on to the kitchen, which I do really like. I definitely cluttered this up a whole bunch. I wanted it to look a little messy. And on this counter over here, I was trying to make it look like there were a bunch of dishes just piled up that hadn't been done, because I remember from my experience of living with roommates in college, the dishes were always a huge point of contention. Like, that was one of the biggest sources of arguments in the house, like just how people were or weren't cleaning the kitchen, because some people wanted the kitchen to be spotless and super clean, and then other people were like, I don't care, I don't feel like doing the dishes, I'm studying, I'm busy, I don't have time to wash my pan that I just used to cook something. And like one of my roommates would have a tendency to cook stuff and then take the stuff out of the pan and then just leave the pan sitting on the stove. Like, wouldn't wash it, wouldn't soak it or anything like that. Like, they would just leave it sitting there until someone else got annoyed enough and would end up washing it, and you just have dishes like piled up on the counter next to the sink. And it was just like, the kitchen is just like a huge source of conflict in those kinds of situations. So I thought making things a little messy would definitely show that pretty well. But I believe that is about it for the kitchen, and unfortunately I did have to leave one of the counters empty just to ensure that Sims were able to cook. But if that wasn't the case, I definitely would have cluttered that counter up a whole bunch. But we have to take functionality into account here, of course. But apart from the main living rooms, we just have a half bathroom down here and a laundry room. So that's just kind of tucked all the way back here through the half bathroom. And then I feel like laundry is also another source of conflict in roommate situations, because I also remember that being like a little bit of a problem. Like, you would want to wash clothes, but then someone else had clothes that they had left in the dryer for hours since like the day, or hours or since the day before. So either you just wait, or you take all their stuff out and put it in the dryer if you're nice. But like, some people wouldn't do that, and they would just pile it on top of the dryer and not even actually put it in it, because they wanted to save the dryer for themselves. So yeah, that was always like another source of argument. So that's always the joys of living with roommates in college situations. Anyways, we're on to the bedrooms now. So I am furnishing what was supposed to be the master bedroom. So this is the one that's a bit bigger and has an actual bathroom attached to it. So this is definitely, like, I'm imagining it as the bedroom of the person who found the house first, because that's usually what happens, where whoever finds a rental listing first and is like kind of the one who initiates it and first moves in. Like they're usually the ones who have the bigger and better bedrooms. And I was furnishing this room as one for more of a gamer and a streamer, so I did put that streaming station in this room, which this room definitely worked the best for because it was the biggest one, and that item does take up a lot of space, so you have to have a lot of space around it or a fairly large room to place it. But we got that in there, and I didn't stick a separate computer desk in this room because I didn't really see there being a point in that, because that is essentially like a computer, even though it doesn't have full computer functionality. But I also stuck some of the school projects from Parenthood on the dresser there because I was thinking maybe those were class projects. So I could see this as being the room of maybe an engineering student as well. Like I think it kind of work well as that, or maybe a physics student or something kind of sciencey. And then we also have a guitar over there in that corner because maybe they like to dabble in that as well. Oh yeah, and I also found that dartboard, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to have in the living room. I mean, that's probably not the safest area to play darts in, but it's fine. You know, the Sims don't have to worry about being hit in the eye by a dart or anything like that, and they should be able to use it in that space because I have stuck that dartboard in tight areas before, and Sims are able to use it fine. They might clip into objects that they're near, but generally it's fine and not really an issue if anything's in the path of it or close to it. But currently I'm just furnishing this bathroom here. There's not really a lot to it, just kind of your basic bathroom. And then while I was on a roll with furnishing that one, I just decided to furnish the main hall bathroom that is over here. And those blinds from My First Pet Stuff did work pretty well, like sized down and placed on the windows, because I saw the bathrooms as more so having blinds on them rather than full-on curtains. And those ones, when you size them down, they do fit the windows pretty well, because originally they were blocking the entire window, but I didn't really want it to be like that. But we're about done with this, so now we're gonna be moving on to one of the other bedrooms, well, once we put these last things in. So the other bedrooms are furnished for an art student, as I mentioned before, and someone that I was thinking was maybe in like maybe a music production student, or I guess it's an actual, or maybe a music degree, something along those lines. Like that's kind of like their and maybe they're also the sim who has the DJ booth downstairs. Like that's something they're really into, is, you know, DJing to moonlight and make some extra money, and then they also try to mix their own tracks. Like that's something they're trying to make it big into, and then they're also perhaps pursuing a music degree to aid in that. And then I did also stick some graffiti on that wall because I was thinking maybe that was something they just did for fun, and they figured worst comes to worst, when they move out, they just paint over it and it's no big deal, but at least they have something that's kind of cool in their room while they are living here. But I was unfortunately not able to fit a desk into the room because I did really want to have that music production station in here, but I think that's fine because I did put that laptop on the dining table downstairs, and I just wanted to have more space in their rooms for things that are more activity and interest related, rather than taking up space having a computer desk in each bedroom, because these two here aren't really the biggest. But we're done with that room, so now we're on to the art student room. Oh, and something else I thought turned out really nicely with this house is that stair area, because I was able to use the U-shaped stairs and it fit rather nicely into it, and I thought it looked really cool. And then we do have kind of a 2-floor window in that area, which does let a lot of light in and does look really pretty. So yeah, I still am in love with being able to have the different shaped stairs and being able to get a little bit more creative with that. But this room did start out being rather dark because I did use that dark purple wallpaper, but in a little bit I did brighten it up some because I just wasn't really feeling how dark the room was. So once I made that change, it did end up looking a lot better. Yeah, so here I did that, but there's not really that much more to this room other than the standard, like just kind of the art area that's in the corner there. And we are almost at the end of the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link to do so in the description. There'll be other stuff in there, how to find it in-game, and that's going to be all from me, so if you enjoyed the rest of the video.